Hello everyone. I'm going to talk briefly about a number of medieval woodwind instruments that I play. In particular, I'll begin with a short introduction to a number of recorders, medieval recorders. So the modern recorder that people are mostly familiar with is actually the end product of a long development that goes back to the Middle Ages. The recorder essentially developed out of a very simple six-holed flute, a duct flute, very similar to a modern Irish tin whistle with six frontal holes. The idea that probably came to some instrument makers around the 13th century was to add two holes, one for the little finger and one for the thumb, in order to increase the range and scope of the instrument and what you could do with this instrument. They modified the internal bore as well and made other changes. And we can see, thanks to a number of significant archaeological finds, that this transition towards the recorder began probably in the 13th century, and we already see around 1300 a number of initial proto-recorders or transitional recorders, such as the one that I'm holding in my hands. This is a replica of a recorder that was found in an archaeological excavation in Tartu in Estonia in 2005. This is a replica made by Tim Cranmore in England, and it's directly based on the original that was found in Tartu, which was practically intact. So we can really have a good idea of what a medieval recorder from around 1300 sounded like. As you can see, it has the seventh hole, which was added to the six of the earlier instruments, and it also has a thumb hole. It's a cylindrical bore, and it's roughly matching the modern pitch of a sopranino. I'm going to play an Italian tune from the late 14th century, Saltarello, which is found in a manuscript possibly from Tuscany or possibly from Mantua in the north of Italy, but which is now preserved in the British Library in London, and it will give you a good idea of the range and the sound of this instrument. So you've just heard an Italian Saltarello from the late 14th century. I played the first two parts of what is otherwise a pretty long tune, and you've heard it on a fairly high-pitched sopranino from Estonia. I'm now going to play a much lower-pitched instrument. It's an alto recorder. It's an alto in G. Unlike the Tartu sopranino, which is based directly on an archaeological find, this alto recorder is much more speculative. It's loosely based on another archaeological find, a recorder that was discovered in Dordrecht. The original, however, is pitched roughly at a soprano instrument. This is an alto, so it's a slightly more speculative design, but it does have confirmation from iconography. This particular instrument was made by Marie Ulsens in Catalonia. It is certainly likely that with the progressive transformation and development of the recorder, lower pitched instruments were produced as well, and as I said, there are a few paintings, illustrations, illuminations in manuscripts that do seem to show lower recorders on lower registers. So I'm going to play the French tune now. It's an estampille. It's the second estampille royale, which is preserved in a manuscript, a songbook known as the King's Songbook. It's now preserved in the Bibliothèque Nationale in Paris. It's a very famous songbook from the late 13th century, but an anonymous scribe who worked probably around 1300 added a number of purely instrumental pieces, 8 estampilles and 3 dances. So you're going to hear the very, very different kind of sound that you get from an instrument like this in respect to what I've played earlier.